You spend your entire life chasing a shadow, trying to grasp it, only to feel it slip through your fingers like fine sand. The frustration is not in the effort, but in the understanding. What if the problem was never about how you chase, but about the vessel you have prepared to receive? Most people will only see the surface, the gaining. They ignore this deep inner work, and the final principles that unify everything will remain a mystery. Inner stillness. Before we can speak of flow, of currents, or of abundance, we must first address the vessel. The vessel is you. It is your mind, your spirit, your inner state. If you pour pure, clear water into a cup that is filled with mud, the pure water becomes clouded. If the cup itself is fractured with 1,000 tiny cracks, whatever you pour into it will eventually leak away, leaving you with nothing but the memory of fullness and the thirst. Your relationship with the energy we call money begins right here, not in the marketplace, not in your work, but in the silent, empty space between your every thought. We exist in a world that constantly pulls our attention outwards. It screams for our focus. It demands that we look at what others possess, at what we believe we lack, and at what we could potentially gain. This creates a state of perpetual agitation, an inner tremor that never ceases. In this state of constant mental noise, true clarity is impossible. When the surface of the water is disturbed by countless ripples, you can never see what lies at the bottom. Your outer financial life is often a perfect mirror of this inner disturbance. The impulsive choices, the constant anxiety about security, the fear of not having enough, the envy of those who appear to have more, these are not truly financial problems. They are symptoms of a disturbed mind. They are the ripples on the surface of the water. The first and most fundamental practice, then, is the cultivation of stillness. It is the commitment to simply sit, to breathe, and to allow the sediment of the mind, the fears, the desires, the endless chatter to slowly settle. You do not fight the thoughts of lack or of wanting. You do not struggle with them. You simply observe them without attachment, just as you would observe clouds as they drift across the sky. You acknowledge their presence, and then you allow them to pass. This is not a passive act of surrender. It is an act of supreme and quiet discipline. To choose stillness when the entire world around you screams for motion is the highest and most difficult form of strength. And what happens when you practice this regularly? The inner tremor begins to subside. The sediment settles. The waters of your mind become clear. For the very first time, you can truly see the bottom. You can see the real sources of your financial habits and anxieties. You begin to see that the deep craving for a luxury item was never about the item itself, but a desperate search for external validation. You see that the chronic fear of scarcity was not based on your current reality, but on a deep-seated belief you inherited from your past. This clarity is the foundation upon which every other thing must be built. Without it, any strategy, any technique, any financial plan is like building a great house on shifting sand. You may be able to construct something that looks impressive for a short period of time, but when the first storm arrives, an unexpected bill, a change in circumstances, the entire structure will inevitably collapse. Why? It collapses because the ground underneath it was never made solid. Your inner state of being is that ground. When you are still, you are no longer a puppet manipulated by your own impulses and fears. You become the master of your own inner world. From this place of grounded, clear awareness, you can begin to look at the energy of money not as a source of stress or of frantic desire, but simply as what it is: a tool, a resource to be managed with wisdom and with skill. It is just another form of energy in this universe, no different from the energy contained in the food you eat or the air you breathe. It holds no inherent quality of good or bad. It is your relationship to it, your inner state, that gives it that charge. Therefore, the first step is not to chase it, but to turn inward and build a vessel so solid, so clear, and so still that it can hold whatever comes to it with grace and without being disturbed. Energy flow. Once the vessel has been prepared, once you have cultivated a measure of inner stillness and clarity, we can then turn our attention to the nature of that which you wish to receive. We give it the name money, but to truly understand it, we must see it for what it is: a current of energy. It is not a static object to be collected and hoarded like a pile of heavy stones. It is a river, and the nature of a river is to flow. When a river is blocked, when a dam is built, the water behind it becomes stagnant, putrid. Life begins to wither and die in that stillness. When the flow is too weak, the riverbed dries up and nothing can grow along its banks. The key to a healthy and prosperous relationship with this energy is to understand and honor its natural flow, the flow in and the flow out. Most people focus their entire attention on only one half of this cycle, the inflow. All their effort, all their anxiety, all their striving is directed at getting more, earning more, acquiring more. This is like trying to fill a river by only praying for rain, while paying no attention whatsoever to the dams and the blockages that are choking the flow downstream. Abundance is not just about how much comes into your life. It is about the health and vitality of the entire circulatory system. What are these blockages that choke the river? In our inner landscape, a blockage is a belief. It is a fear. A deep-seated conviction that you are not worthy of abundance is a massive, invisible dam. The fear of losing what you have is another powerful blockage. It causes you to hold on so tightly, to clench your fists so hard that you yourself constrict the flow, creating the very stagnation you dread. The belief that this energy is somehow unspiritual or impure is a third kind of blockage, a conscious and subconscious barrier that you erect, which repels the very resource you might need to fulfill your highest purpose. These inner blockages are not overcome with brute force. You do not dynamite a dam that exists within your own mind. Instead, you address it with the gentle power of awareness. You bring your clear, still mind to the blockage, and you simply investigate it. Where did this belief come from? Who taught this to me? Does it truly serve me now? Is it true? Like placing a small candle in a vast dark room, this awareness does not fight the darkness. It simply dissolves it with its soft light. The moment a blockage is seen for what it truly is, a mere thought, a relic of the past, it begins to lose its power over you. The energy begins to find its way around it, and the flow, however small at first, resumes. Then we must consider the outflow. Our culture conditions us to see this outflow, spending, as a loss. Every dollar that leaves our hand is perceived as a small defeat, a step backward. But this is a profound misunderstanding of flow. A healthy river must have an outlet that leads to the sea. The heart must pump blood out in order for new, oxygenated blood to return. The outflow of this energy, when it is done with conscious awareness and clear intention, is not a loss. It is a vital and necessary part of the cycle. It is an exchange. You are not losing energy. You are directing it towards something that you value. You exchange it for food that nourishes your body. You exchange it for a home that provides shelter and peace. You exchange it for a book that expands your mind, or for an experience that enriches your spirit. When you begin to see every single expense as a conscious energy exchange, your relationship with the act of spending is completely transformed. You are no longer a passive consumer, but an active director of energy. This practice, in itself, cultivates an abundance mindset. You are not focused on what is leaving you, but on the value you are creating and receiving in the exchange. It fosters deep gratitude. Instead of feeling a pang of pain at the point of sale, you can feel gratitude for having the resources to direct and gratitude for the value that you are about to receive. The ultimate aim is to become a master conduit for this energy. You must come to see yourself as the steward of the river, not as its owner. Your primary responsibility is to ensure that your vessel is strong, to identify and gently dissolve the inner blockages, and to direct the flow of the river both in and out with conscious, clear intention. When you commit to this practice, you stop chasing. You are no longer downstream, hoping that a few scraps will float your way. You are tending to the river itself. You focus on the health of the entire ecosystem, and in doing so, the flow naturally strengthens, deepens, and nourishes everything around you, including yourself. Clear intention. A river that has no destination is just a swamp. Its waters spread out, become shallow, and stagnate. In the same way, energy that has no purpose dissipates into chaos. You may have a perfectly still mind and a deep intellectual understanding of energy flow, But if you do not know why you are directing this energy, you will find yourself adrift and lost. The essential question is not, how do I get more money? The far more powerful and important question is, what is the purpose for which I am calling this energy forth? This is the principle of a clear intention. It is the North Star. It is the fixed point in the sky by which you navigate every decision. Without it, you are navigating in a dense fog. Your actions will inevitably be driven by fleeting desires, by the pressures of society, by subconscious fear, or by reactive greed. You will acquire things you do not truly need. You will invest your energy in schemes that do not align with your core values, and you will pursue work that slowly drains your spirit. You will find yourself very busy, working very hard, but you will be making no real progress toward a life of meaning. Clarity of intention is the only antidote to this chaos. This requires a level of self-inquiry that is much deeper than the surface-level desire for something vague like financial freedom. You must ask, what does freedom mean to you specifically? What does it look like, feel like? Is it the freedom to spend your days in quiet contemplation, writing, painting, or being in nature? Is it the freedom to provide a stable, safe, and nurturing environment for your family to flourish in? Is it the freedom to build a business or a foundation that solves a problem in the world that you care about deeply? You must get brutally specific and honest with yourself. The more vivid, the more detailed, and the more emotionally resonant your intention is, the more powerful it becomes as a guiding force in your life. It is important to understand that an intention is not the same as a goal. A goal is an external target. I want to have $1 million in my bank account. It is a destination. An intention is an internal state, a way of being. My intention is to live a life of creative expression and generosity, which is supported by complete financial stability. The goal is the city you wish to reach. The intention is the compass that keeps you on the right path during every single step of the journey there. The intention informs the quality of your journey itself. With a clear and powerful intention held firmly in your mind, your daily financial choices are no longer a difficult battle between discipline and temptation. They become a simple matter of alignment versus misalignment. When you are about to make an impulsive purchase, you can pause for a single breath and ask a simple question. Does this action align with my intention to build a stable and peaceful foundation for my family? Suddenly, the choice is not about restriction or deprivation. It becomes about reaffirming your own deepest values. It becomes easy. You are not depriving yourself of a whim. You are choosing your deeper purpose over it. This practice completely transforms your relationship with your work. Work ceases to be a mere transaction of your limited time for money. It becomes the primary vehicle through which you actively manifest your intention in the world. If your intention is to contribute to the well-being of others, you will naturally seek out or create work that allows you to do so. The energy you then receive from that work, the money, is no longer just a paycheck. It becomes a tangible symbol of the value you have created in perfect alignment with your soul's purpose. It is clean energy, earned with integrity. It feels entirely different in your life. It carries a different weight, a different frequency. $1,000 earned through work that violates your intention and drains your spirit feels heavy, burdensome, and draining. It often disappears quickly. $1,000 earned in perfect alignment with your deepest intention feels light, energizing, and expansive. When your intention is clear, you become a magnet for the right opportunities. The universe has a strange way of organizing itself around clarity. When you know precisely what you are building and why you are building it, you begin to notice the people, the resources, and the ideas that resonate with that same frequency. They have been there all along, but now you can see them. Stable structure. Energy, by its very nature, is formless and wild. It will always take the shape of whatever container it is poured into. Water can be a destructive, chaotic flood, or it can be a life-giving, orderly canal that irrigates an entire valley. The only difference is the structure that contains and directs it. In your financial life, you must become the architect of this vital structure. Your clear intention serves as the blueprint, but without a physical, tangible structure to implement it, that beautiful blueprint will remain a fantasy, a dream on a piece of paper. This structure is not a prison. Its purpose is not to restrict you or limit your joy. It is a riverbank. Its sole purpose is to create a channel, one that is strong and deep, that allows the energy to flow powerfully and directly towards your intended destination, without overflowing into chaos or seeping away into unproductive, muddy ground. So what does this structure look like in a practical sense? It is composed of a few simple yet profound daily and weekly practices. The first and most fundamental is the practice of tracking. You must know, with absolute and unemotional clarity, where the energy is currently flowing in your life. Where does it come from? Where does it go? This is not about self-judgment or shame. It is simply about awareness. To look at your spending honestly, without flinching, is a supreme act of courage. You are simply gathering data, observing the plain reality of your current situation, just as you observe your own thoughts in meditation. Most people resist this simple act because they are afraid of what they will find. But you can never change what you do not first acknowledge. The simple act of tracking is often enough, in and of itself, to create profound and lasting shifts. When you see in clear black and white that a significant portion of your life energy is flowing towards things, habits, or experiences that are not aligned with your deepest stated intention, the misalignment becomes impossible to ignore. The motivation to change then comes from within, naturally. The second part of the structure is a clear plan. This is often called a budget, but that word carries a heavy feeling of restriction. We can reframe it as an intention-aligned energy plan. It is not a document of limitation. I can only spend this much on food. It is a document of conscious allocation. I will direct this much energy towards my foundation of security, this much towards my growth and learning, and this much towards joyful living. You are consciously deciding, in a state of calm clarity, how you will direct your resources to serve your purpose. You are telling your energy where to go instead of waking up at the end of the month and wondering where it all went. This is a profound shift from a reactive to a proactive and powerful stance. This structure must also have clearly defined channels for different, specific purposes. Imagine creating separate, smaller pools that are fed by the main river of your income. One pool is for your security. This is your emergency fund, the stable base that allows you to weather any storm without falling into panic. Another pool is for your growth, your investments, the small seeds you plant today that will grow into the great forests of your future. A third pool must be for joyful expression, the energy you consciously allocate for experiences, hobbies, and things that bring you and your loved ones genuine, soul-level joy and connection. A fourth and equally important pool is for contribution, the energy you direct outwards to help others, to serve a cause, and to complete the great cycle of flow. By building these distinct and separate channels, you bring a powerful sense of order to the flow. You ensure that your short-term needs, your long-term growth, your present happiness, and your innate desire to give back are all honored and provided for. This is the practical, daily manifestation of a balanced and integrated life. Building it requires discipline. It requires consistency. But this discipline is not a burden. It is the very thing that liberates you. Rightful action. The energy that we call wealth does not materialize from the void. It is always a consequence, a result of an exchange. For this energy to flow to you in a clean and sustainable way, you must first generate a current of real value that flows from you. This is the great principle of rightful action. It pertains specifically to how you earn, how you generate the primary inflow of energy into your system. This is perhaps the most spiritually significant aspect of your entire financial life, as it is directly connected to how you spend the majority of your waking hours and how you contribute your unique talents to the world. Rightful action demands that the work you do to generate your inflow must be in alignment with your core values as a human being and with your clear, stated intention. When your work is misaligned, the energy you receive in exchange for it is tainted. It is heavy. If you work at a job you despise, one that requires you to compromise your integrity or that feels utterly meaningless to your spirit. The money you earn from that work will always carry the low frequency of that deep discontent. It will feel heavy in your life. That kind of money can never truly satisfy you because it serves as a constant, subconscious reminder of the terrible price you paid for it, your own life force, your own spirit, your precious time. This misalignment creates a deep and painful internal conflict. A part of you, the truest part, knows that you are not living in truth, and this creates a kind of spiritual debt that no amount of material wealth can ever repay. You might find yourself spending this heavy money impulsively, almost desperately, trying to fill the void that your work creates inside of you. You buy distractions, you chase momentary pleasures, you do anything to numb the quiet, persistent ache of a misaligned life. The energy comes in, but it flows out just as quickly through these unhealthy channels of compensation and escapism, leaving you trapped in a demoralizing cycle of earning and spending that gets you nowhere. Conversely, rightful action means engaging in work that is a genuine and authentic expression of who you are at your core. It is work that provides real, tangible value to other people. The word value is the key. Value is anything that makes someone else's life better in some small or large way. It could be providing a service that saves them precious time. It could be creating a product that brings them a moment of joy or solves a frustrating problem. It could be teaching a skill that empowers them, or it could be simply creating an environment of peace, beauty, and order for others to enjoy. When you focus your efforts entirely on creating genuine value for others, the energy of money becomes a natural, effortless byproduct. It becomes an equal and fair exchange for the positive, helpful energy that you have put out into the world. You are no longer chasing money. You are focused on service, on mastery of your craft, on contribution. The financial reward that comes back to you is the universe's simple way of saying thank you for the value you created. This energy feels completely different. It is light, it is clean, and it is empowering. Because it was earned through an act that was aligned with your soul, it nourishes you rather than drains you. You will find you have less need for escapism because your work itself is fulfilling. You are able to direct this clean energy far more consciously towards your intended goals because you are not desperately trying to patch up spiritual holes with material goods. Finding your rightful action is a personal journey of deep self-discovery. It requires you to look honestly at your natural skills, your genuine passions, and the true needs of the world around you. Where do your talents and the world's needs intersect? That is where you will find your path. Mindful exchange. Every single time you spend money, you are engaging in a powerful act of exchange. You are consciously releasing a current of your life's energy from your own system in return for a different kind of energy, an object, a service, an experience. The quality and consciousness of this exchange has a profound impact on your overall financial and spiritual health. Most of these exchanges in the modern world are done unconsciously, almost automatically. A swift tap of a card, a single click of a button. The transaction has become so frictionless that we lose the felt sense of what is actually taking place. We are casting powerful votes with our energy, yet we are not paying any attention to the candidates that we are electing. The practice of mindful exchange is about bringing a deliberate, conscious awareness back to the simple act of outflow. It is about taking a moment to pause, even for just a millisecond, before the exchange happens, and connecting that action back to your deepest intention. Before you buy that cup of coffee, before you subscribe to that service, before you purchase that new piece of clothing, you perform a quiet internal check-in. The first and most important question to ask is this: does this exchange align with my deepest intention? If your stated intention is to cultivate health and vitality, is this purchase an act of nourishment for your body or an act of neglect? If your core intention is to create a life of peace and simplicity, is this object going to add to your peace, or is it just going to add to your clutter? This simple, silent question acts as a powerful filter, protecting your precious energy from being diverted into the distracting channels of misalignment. This is not about living a life of harsh asceticism or depriving yourself of all joy. It is about ensuring that the joy you choose is genuine and deep, rather than fleeting and superficial. An expensive meal that is shared with loved ones in a true spirit of connection and celebration might be perfectly aligned with your intention for a rich life. A cheap, impulsive purchase made out of a feeling of boredom or emptiness is almost certainly not. It is about the why behind the exchange, not just the amount on the price tag. The second layer of practicing mindful exchange is to consider exactly where your energy is flowing. When you purchase something, you are not just acquiring an item for yourself. You are actively supporting the entire system that created it and brought it to you. You are sending your energy to the company that made it, to the people who work for that company, and to the values that the company embodies. Are you directing your life energy towards systems that you truly believe in? Are you supporting local craftspeople or businesses that treat their employees with dignity and respect? Every purchase is a small but powerful statement about the kind of world you want to live in. When you start making these choices consciously, your spending becomes a quiet act of world building. You are using your energy to help co-create a world that more closely reflects your deepest values. This infuses the simple act of spending with a sense of purpose and power, transforming it from an act of loss or guilt into one of creative participation. The feeling is completely different. Finally, mindful exchange involves the emotion of the transaction itself. When you let go of the energy, do you release it with a feeling of lack, a painful sense that I am losing something? Or do you choose to release it with a feeling of gratitude? You can be grateful for having the ability to make the exchange in the first place. You can be grateful for the hard work you did to generate that energy. You can be grateful to the person or the entity on the other side of the exchange for the value they are providing you. Spending with gratitude transforms a potentially negative experience into a deeply positive one. Patient cultivation. In our world of instant gratification, we are conditioned to expect immediate results in all areas of life. We plant a seed in the morning soil and we feel frustrated when we do not see a fully grown tree by the afternoon. This mindset, this profound lack of patience, is the source of immense frustration and incredibly poor decisions, especially in the realm of our financial lives. It is this impatience that leads people to chase get-rich-quick schemes, to take on foolish and uncalculated risks, and to abandon sound, proven strategies simply because they do not yield spectacular results in a very short period of time. The principle of patient cultivation is the direct antidote to this poison of immediacy. It is the deep understanding that true sustainable wealth is not built like a machine. It is grown like a forest. It is an organic process that, like all great things in nature, requires three things: time, consistency, and a deep trust in the process itself. It cannot be rushed. Consider the farmer who plants the seed of a Chinese bamboo tree. For the first full year after planting, there is absolutely no visible growth above the soil. The second year, there is still nothing. The third year, nothing. The fourth year, still nothing. From the outside, to an uninformed observer, it looks like a complete and total failure. A foolish and impatient person would have dug up that seed long ago and declared it to be useless. But the wise farmer knows that something profound and miraculous is happening beneath the surface, hidden from sight. The bamboo is spending these first crucial years building an immense and intricate root system, a powerful underground foundation that will be capable of supporting the massive, rapid growth that is to come. Then, in the fifth year, the bamboo explodes from the ground, growing up to 90 feet tall in just 6 short weeks. Was this growth sudden? To the outside observer, yes, but in reality it was not. The spectacular growth was the direct result of 5 long years of patient, unseen, underground cultivation. Your financial growth, if it is to be strong and sustainable, follows the exact same natural law. The early stages of your journey are often the root-building years. This is the period when you are diligently and quietly practicing all of the fundamentals. You are building your stable structure. You are clarifying your intention. You are living in greater alignment. You save a little bit here, you invest a small amount there. The returns in the beginning seem minuscule, almost insignificant. It can feel deeply discouraging. You might look at others who are taking bigger risks and seemingly having more spectacular visible success, and you might be tempted to abandon your own slow and steady path. This is the moment of your greatest testing. This is the point where you must draw on your inner stillness and simply trust the process. Your consistent contributions to your savings and your investments, no matter how small they seem in the moment, are your way of watering that bamboo seed every single day. Every single time you stick to your plan, even when it's difficult, you are strengthening that unseen underground root system. This is the real power of compounding, not just of money, but of habit. Every time you make a mindful financial choice, you strengthen the inner muscle of discipline and awareness. This internal growth is the invisible foundation that will support your future abundance. Patient cultivation also requires a profound shift in perspective from one of short-term gains to one of long-term ownership. When you invest your energy, you are not simply gambling on a stock price. You are becoming a small part owner of a real business that provides real value to real people. You are planting your seed in the fertile ground of human ingenuity and commerce. With this owner's mindset, you are far less likely to be swayed by the daily, chaotic up and down noise of the market. You are not a nervous trader, you are a patient cultivator. Detached perspective. There is a subtle but profound danger that arises as the flow of energy in your life begins to increase. The danger is attachment. It is the insidious process by which you begin to fuse your core identity, your sense of self-worth, and your deep emotional security to the energy itself. The river, which was once a simple tool to be stewarded with wisdom, slowly becomes a treasure to be possessed and defended. And the very moment you begin to believe that you possess it, it is in that moment that it begins to possess you. Attachment is the hidden source of the deepest forms of financial suffering. When you are attached, you live in a state of constant low-grade fear. You fear losing what you have. This fear can cause you to check your balances and your investments compulsively. It can make you view natural market downturns not as a predictable season of winter, but as a deep and personal attack. The freedom you thought the money would bring is silently replaced by a new and more comfortable kind of prison, a golden cage of perpetual anxiety. Your own peace of mind becomes a hostage to external circumstances over which you have no ultimate control. The simple joy of having is completely overshadowed by the pervasive terror of losing. Greed is the other side of the same coin of attachment. It is the insatiable, burning hunger for more. No matter how much the river flows into your life, it is never enough. The goalposts are constantly shifting further and further away. What you once thought would be enough to make you happy and secure is now just the new starting point for the next level of acquisition. This is a bottomless pit of desire. You find yourself trapped on a treadmill, running faster and faster, but never arriving at a place of true contentment. You have made the critical mistake of confusing the accumulation of the resource with the fulfillment of your original purpose. The practice of developing a detached perspective is the only true liberation from this gilded cage. It is crucial to understand that detachment is not the same as carelessness. It is not apathy or indifference. It does not mean you abandon your carefully built structures or your discipline. That would not be detachment, that would be neglect. Detachment is a profound shift in your relationship to the energy. It is the deep, experiential realization that you are not your money. You are not your possessions. You are not your bank account balance. These are simply things that flow through your life for a period of time. You are the vessel. You are the consciousness through which these things flow. You are the riverbank, not the river itself. This deep realization is achieved through the constant practice of remembering. You must regularly and consciously remind yourself of your true nature, which is independent of any and all external factors. You do this by returning again and again to the foundational practice of inner stillness. In the silence, you reconnect with the part of you that is unchanging, the quiet, observing awareness that lies beneath all thought and emotion. This awareness was there when you had very little, and it will still be there if you have very much. It is the only true and unshakable source of your security. Another powerful practice is to mindfully and gently visualize loss. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is a potent antidote to the poison of fear. In a calm, meditative state, you simply imagine losing it all. You imagine your accounts at zero, your assets gone. You allow yourself to feel the initial wave of fear and panic that arises. But then you just sit with it. You breathe through it, and you ask yourself a simple question: what remains? You will discover that what remains is your breath, your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, your integrity, your character, your resilience. You, what remains is you. By confronting the fear in this controlled, safe environment, you rob it of its terrifying power over your daily life. Generous current. A river that flows only inward, with no outlet to the great sea, will eventually become a stagnant, salty, and lifeless pool. It becomes incapable of supporting any life. This is a natural law. Any healthy system, whether it is a forest ecosystem, your own circulatory system, or your financial life, requires both inflow and outflow to remain vital and alive. The final and perhaps most transformative principle in mastering your relationship with this energy is to become a conscious and joyful source of outflow for the benefit of others. This is the practice of the generous current. Generosity is not an afterthought. It is not something you do only after all of your own needs and wants have been completely met. It is an integral, essential part of the healthy flow itself. To attempt to hoard all the energy that comes to you for yourself is to misunderstand its fundamental nature. It is like trying to constantly breathe in without ever breathing out. Eventually, you will suffocate on the very air you are trying to hoard. The act of giving is the exhale. It is the necessary release that creates the space for the next inhale to occur. When you consciously direct a portion of your energy outward for the benefit of other people or other causes, without expecting anything at all in return, you are making a powerful statement to the universe and, more importantly, to your own subconscious mind. You are declaring through your actions, not just your words, that you believe you live in a world of abundance, not a world of scarcity. You are affirming through a tangible act that you trust there is more than enough to go around for everyone. This act literally rewires the neural pathways in your brain. The deep, gripping fear of not having enough cannot coexist in the same space as the expansive, joyful act of giving. One of these states must yield to the other. By consciously choosing to practice generosity, you choose to systematically dissolve the very foundations of your own scarcity mindset. Now, this does not mean that you should give in ways that jeopardize your own stable structure. That would be unwise and counterproductive. A river cannot properly nourish the lands downstream if its own banks have collapsed from neglect. The generosity must be proportional, a conscious and planned part of your intention-aligned energy plan. You create a specific channel within your structure that is dedicated to contribution, just as you have created channels for your security and your future growth. It could be 10% of your inflow, it could be 1%, or it could even be a single dollar given with a full heart. The specific amount is far less important than the intention behind the act and the consistency with which you practice it. The energy of this giving is critical. Giving from a place of guilt or social obligation or a secret desire for recognition is not a pure act. That kind of giving carries a heavy energy. True, transformative generosity flows from a place of genuine compassion and deep gratitude. It is a joyful recognition of your fundamental interconnectedness with all of life. You give simply because you see another's need as an extension of your own need. You give because you are genuinely grateful for the abundance that has flowed through your life, and you feel a natural desire to share it. This kind of joyful, grateful giving completes the energetic cycle in the most beautiful and powerful way. The clean energy that you earned through your rightful action flows through your well-tended and stable structure and is then directed back outward into the world as a force for good, unattached, and with a pure intention. This creates a powerful resonance, a vibration that seems to attract more of the same. The universe appears to favor conduits that are open on both ends. When it finds a clear channel through which positive energy can flow to create positive change, it tends to send more energy down that very same channel. Emotional mastery. Beneath all the strategies, the structures, and the philosophies of wealth and energy, there lies the deep, turbulent ocean of human emotion. You can have the most perfect and logical plan, you can have the clearest intention, and you can build the most stable structure, but if you remain a slave to the twin tyrants of fear and greed, your ship will be tossed about in the storm and eventually broken on the rocks. Emotional mastery is therefore the ultimate and most necessary skill in this entire domain of life. It is the subtle ability to observe these powerful feelings as they arise within you. It is the ability to acknowledge their presence without immediately letting them take command of the vessel. Fear is the great paralyzer of action. It is the cold, chilling voice that whispers in your ear, "What if you lose it all? What if this is a mistake? What if you fail? What if you're simply not good enough?" This fear can prevent you from taking the carefully calculated risks that are often necessary for real growth. It can cause you to sell your investments at the very bottom of the market in a moment of pure panic. It can make you cling so tightly to your security that you suffocate your own potential for a greater life. Fear always lives in a future that does not yet exist. It is a fantasy of a catastrophe that has not happened. The primary practice for mastering fear is to return always and immediately to the present moment. Right here, right now, in this breath, are you safe? Are you breathing? In this single moment, the imagined catastrophe is not happening. You bring your awareness back to the simple physical sensations of your body, to the feeling of the solid ground beneath your feet. This simple act of grounding short-circuits the runaway train of anxious, fearful thought. You can also counter fear with logic and reason. You have a plan. You have built a structure, you have a security fund, you have already done the work to build a ship that is seaworthy. You must remind yourself of the diligent work you have already done to prepare. Fear thrives in chaos and uncertainty. It withers and dies in the face of calm, rational preparedness. Greed, on the other hand, is the great corrupter of intention. It is the hot, burning, insatiable hunger that constantly whispers, "More. This is not enough. You need more to be happy, more to be secure, more to be important." Greed lives in a state of perpetual painful dissatisfaction. It will take a perfectly good and healthy intention, such as the simple desire for a stable and secure life, and slowly twist it into a pathological obsession with endless accumulation. It makes you blind to the ethical implications of your actions, and it makes you deaf to the genuine needs of the people around you. Greed promises you happiness, but it can only deliver more anxiety and a deeper, more profound sense of emptiness. The primary practice for mastering greed is the active cultivation of gratitude and contentment. Instead of constantly focusing your attention on what you currently lack, you consciously and regularly turn your attention to what you already have. You do not just think about it as an intellectual exercise, you must feel it in your body. Feel the deep gratitude for the simple roof over your head, for the food on your table, for the skills you possess, for the relationships you cherish. Gratitude is the direct and powerful antidote to greed. It is fundamentally impossible to feel genuinely grateful and insatiably greedy in the exact same moment. You also practice contentment by defining for yourself what enough really means to you. This is not a number that is written in stone, but a feeling of sufficiency, a point at which your true needs are met and your soul is at peace. Without this personal and honest definition, you will be forever lost in the desolate desert of more. Emotional mastery is not about trying to suppress these powerful emotions. That is a form of violence against yourself and will only cause them to fester in your subconscious and erupt with more force later on. Mastery is about creating a small pocket of space between the arising of the emotion and your response to it. Sustained practice. The principles that we have discussed today are not a set of instructions to be followed one time and then forgotten. They are not a destination at which you suddenly arrive. They form a path, they form a discipline, they form a practice that must be sustained and nurtured for a lifetime. Mastery is not an event that you can mark on a calendar. It is a continuous process of refinement. To believe that you can listen to these words, feel a momentary flash of insight, and then be permanently transformed is a pleasant but dangerous illusion. The real work always begins tomorrow morning. It begins again the morning after that, and every single day for the rest of your life. This is the fundamental nature of any meaningful endeavor, whether it is mastering a martial art, cultivating a beautiful garden, or building a life of purpose and financial integrity. The world and your own old habits will constantly try to pull you off of this path. The incessant noise of consumer culture will try to lure you back into the comfortable fog of unconscious spending. The fear-mongering of the daily news will try to trigger your anxiety and push you into making emotional, reactive decisions. Your old habits and your deeply conditioned beliefs will lie in wait, ready to reclaim their former territory the very moment that your awareness begins to falter. This is precisely why the practice must be sustained. It must become a natural rhythm of your life, as essential and as unconscious as breathing. So what does this sustained practice look like in daily life? It is the quiet daily commitment to finding a moment of inner stillness, even if it is only for 5 minutes before your day begins. It is the weekly review of your stable structure, ensuring that your actions during the week were aligned with your plan. It is the moment-to-moment practice of mindful exchange, bringing awareness to every point where your energy flows outward. It is the periodic, gentle reaffirmation of your clear intention, reconnecting with your deepest why. It is the conscious and deliberate cultivation of a detached perspective, consistently reminding yourself that you are the eternal vessel, not the temporary contents. It is maintaining the consistent rhythm of the generous current, making giving a non-negotiable and joyful part of your regular flow. And it is the constant, compassionate vigilance that is required for emotional mastery. There will be times when you stumble on this path. It is inevitable. You will make an impulsive purchase. You will react in fear to a fluctuation in the market. You will feel the hot pull of greed. This is not a failure, it is simply part of the practice. The true master is not the one who never falls down, but the one who gets back up every single time, with a little more wisdom and a little less self-judgment than the time before. When you fall, you simply acknowledge it without shame. You observe why it happened. What was the trigger? What state were you in? And then you gently but firmly place yourself back on the path. This journey has no final endpoint in this life. As your resources grow and your life changes, the challenges you face will also change. The practice will need to deepen. Managing a small, quiet stream requires one set of skills. Stewarding a great and powerful river requires another, much more advanced set. The temptations of attachment and greed become more subtle and more powerful as the stakes get higher. The need for a truly detached perspective and a deep emotional mastery becomes even more critical. Your practice must evolve and grow with you. This path is a spiral, not a straight line. You will revisit these same core principles again and again throughout your life, but each time you will approach them from a higher level of understanding and with a greater capacity for skillful and wise action. Do not be discouraged by the magnitude of this commitment. Instead, find your joy in the practice itself. Find your satisfaction not in the accumulation of external results, but in the integrity of your daily effort. The ultimate purpose of walking this path is not merely to arrive at some far-off destination. The ultimate purpose of walking the path is to be fundamentally transformed by the journey itself. Each single step that you take with awareness strengthens you, clarifies you, and brings you closer to your truest self. This journey was never truly about the money. It was always about using the tangible energy of money as a sacred training ground for the soul. It was a practice field for cultivating discipline, awareness, intention, and wisdom. The real wealth you were building was never the number in your account. It was the clarity of your mind, the stability of your character, and the unshakable peace in your heart. This is the only foundation that can never be lost, the only true treasure that is finally yours to keep. Which part made you pause? For me, it was seeing money not as a gain or loss, but as a current of energy to be stewarded with integrity. That one shift in perspective changes everything. Be honest. Did this speak to you too?